With the release of Ori and the Will of the Wisps, it's been an interesting, obviously, stretch of time for Moon Studios, and that being the developing team of Ori, and the question marks surrounding this franchise. There's been a lot of question marks, whether it's on Reddit, social media. Is Ori going to get another continuation? That coming in the form of a full-blown trilogy here. We, of course, had the first title being Ori and the Blind Forest, to now the Will of the Wisps. What's the future look like here? Because this is a title, guys, that, to me, vibrant, very intriguing and interesting concept, of course. And where could Moon Studios potentially go with it? But the big question we're going to be asking is Ori 3. Is this something that's going to happen? Is it something that's obviously, something that could be happening in the very foreseeable future? Is it something that's probably going to happen long term? I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section down below as we break it down and go over it. So let's get into it. So guys, in an article that was written by Michael Beckwith with Metro, Ori 3 is possible, but Moon Studios' next game is an action role player. So Moon Studios quickly made a name for itself with the release of 2D platformer Ori and the Blind Forest, which was praised for its gameplay, visuals, and minimalist story. It then received the sequel, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, which became just as beloved as it seemed to bring main character Ori's journey to a close. Unsurprisingly, despite the apparent closure, players would still love to see more of Ori's adventure, and during a recent Reddit AMA, Moon Studios was asked if it had any plans to either make a third Ori game or just another title set within the same universe. So the answer was a simple maybe, as lead designer Chris McIntyre explained that the team feel that Ori's story has been told, though they did leave it somewhat open for a possible follow-up. So what they said was, we really felt that we told the story that we wanted to tell. Ori's story across the two games, he wrote. It's really Ori's journey, and we're happy with where it ended and what we wanted to say through telling that story. If you finish the game, you can see that we've left the door cracked open a bit for a potential continuation, though we don't have anything specific to share at this point. So it's really interesting, guys, that obviously, with Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and obviously they kind of created this really interesting story. Obviously, when they talk about having the door cracked open, I think that there's a real possibility that they could make a continuation, especially because of the positive reception that they've got based on, from these other two titles. And I mean, why wouldn't they continue making something in this world or in this universe, even if it was a spin-off or something of that nature? Now, Alyssa, I know you've played this title. What do you think about them potentially making a sequel to it, or I should say like a continuation to round out a trilogy? Do you think it should be a long extended franchise, or do you think it should be something that should be done after a couple of games?
Well, I don't know. I just started playing the first one. So I don't really know what happens at the end of the second game, because I just started playing Ori and the Blind Forest. But I read an article that the reason they came out with Ori and the second Ori game was because the first game only took 8 hours to play, and people wanted a longer game. So they brought the second one. Mm-hmm. So I'm not really sure if should be a third one, because I haven't finished playing I haven't even started the second one yet.
So Ori and the Blind Forest, though, from what you've played of it at this point, like, what do you think about it? Like, is it something that you think is, that world? Do you like it?
Yeah, I think it's a really cool game. I'm playing on the easy difficulty, but that's just because I like my games to be fun and not challenge. Like, I don't like to be frustrated when I'm playing a game. So I have it on easy, but I think it's a really interesting concept, because you have to find these like you have to find these spirit shards and these keystones to get into different parts of the world, his world. And yeah, I mean, I think I'd need to play it a little longer to see. And I'm playing it on the Nintendo Switch, which is, I'm not used to playing video games on the Switch. I'm used to playing on the PlayStation. So, the graphics are really good, though.
Yeah, the
graphics are really cool, and the music's really cool, and the way, there's like this voice in the game. It's not English, but they like tell you what he's saying, and the voice is kind of like what Ori is like following.
Yeah.
And, Yeah, I mean, so far I really like it. I haven't really gotten too deep into it to where I know all of his abilities and stuff, but yeah, I mean, it seems like I actually started playing the second one first because I thought that was the first one. Mm-hmm. The
Will of the Wisps.
Will of the Wisps, yeah. And then I realized that the Blind Forest was actually first. And I like to play. I know they may not have anything to do with each other. Well, they probably do, but I like to play games in order as they come out. So I stopped playing Will of the Wisps, which that one was actually really cool too, as far as I got into it. And then I started playing the Blind Forest first. So now I want to finish that one before I finish Will of the Wisps. But, I mean, if it's as beloved as they say it is, I mean, why not come out with a third one? I mean, it seems like everyone really liked it. So, from what I've read about it.
Yeah, and I feel like, for me at least, it only makes sense. I mean, you're only going to make 2 games out of this, mm-hmm. Out of this title? You at least want to make a trilogy, so it's like you can have a collection. What Alyssa is alluding to is that we got the both of the games on a... it was like a collect. It was a 2-pack for the Nintendo Switch, mm-hmm. and so has both of those stories. But it'd be really cool to have like a trilogy collection that you could get at some point or another. Yeah. It continues. So while it's possible we may see Moon Studios return to Ori's World, it's not going to be happening anytime soon, as it's currently preoccupied with a new game, which is looking to be an action role-playing game. And I got to tell you, Moon Studios, after seeing kind of Ori and the Blind Forest, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, I think that this is a studio I can't wait to see what they do next. I mean, even if it's an action role-playing game, I think, there's a lot of possibility, and I think that I will always be intrigued moving forward because of the visual effects and kind of what they created with Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Was this game only on the Switch?
No, it was on on pretty much all the consoles, yeah. But that being said, Ori's World, even though we want to see it, I believe I would love to see it continue at some point. I think we will see it continue at some point in the future.
He's a pretty cool looking character too.
He is.
He's
cute.
Yeah.
I mean, the question really lies, where could they go? Well, I mean, if you wanted to make a third one that, is almost a prequel to the first 2, something that is, from the very, kind of the origin.
I'd like to see his origin, like where he came from. Like, what is he actually? Or I don't even know if it's a he or a she. What is it? Ori. Where did Ori come from?
And those are all questions that they could answer, of course, mm-hmm. in the next, if they made a third title, kind of more of an origin story. I think that's where I would really like them to go. Or, I mean, something that's in that universe, but it's a different character. It's not necessarily Ori. It's something else. I think they could really open up Pandora's box to millions of different opportunities and possibilities. So, that being said, though, guys, obviously... Ori and the Will of the Wisps, as well as Ori and the Blind Forest, is available on Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch at this point in time.
And the Nintendo Switch, I don't know about the PlayStation, Xbox, but like we bought it as a 2-pack. Instead of buying each individual game, you can buy the 2-pack, and it's actually a little bit cheaper to buy it as a 2-pack than buy both separate games. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. But the real question is, guys, what do you think? Would you like to see an Ori 3? Or do you think that the story's been told and you're okay with them moving on to other games, that being Moon Studios? Let us know in the comment section down below. And for more Ori 3 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.